I spent my early 20s doing everything I thought was right. I graduated university, I got the Big Four consulting job, got promoted. On paper, it looked like I was winning. In reality, I was miserable. And this wasn't because I failed, but more so because I was playing the wrong game. If I could go back and give my 20-year-old self advice, these would be the three things that I'd tell him. 1, how to stop playing someone else's game. 2, how to build something that's actually yours. And 3, how to invest in what actually matters. By the end of this video, you'll know whether you're on the right path, and if not, what to do about it. Before we start, I know some of you might be thinking, I hate my job, should I just quit? I'll answer this later on in the video once we've had a chance to explore these 3 key frameworks, and then you can make the decision yourself. Most people spend their 20s playing a game they never actually agreed to play. You finish school and then you follow the script. You go to university, you graduate, you get a real job. But the problem is, for many people, including myself, is that you never actually ask, is this the direction that I want to go? Is this where I want to take my life? I didn't ask that question, and I did almost the exact opposite. I followed that script to a T. I dropped out of 3 different uni degrees before I finally settled on finance. Commerce, straight out of school, wasn't ready for it. Chiropractic, fake doctors. And then construction management was a lot of building standards and concrete density. Really thrilling, right? But here's the thing I never did. I still didn't stop to wonder what I was doing or where I wanted to go. While at university, I saw everyone applying for internships and graduate programs, so I thought I'd do the same. I saw all the fuss about Big Four and the associated status and prestige, so I thought I'd apply. To my surprise, I actually got in. I still remember when I got the job offer. They sent me my offer letter and my salary, and there was some hesitancy from myself in regards to actually signing onto that. I believe I signed that the day before or the day that it was due. This hesitancy was something I never looked into, but looking back, I really should have. On paper, I was winning. I was freshly graduated. I'd gotten into a good firm, but inside, I was miserable because I was uninterested and unfulfilled. And the worst part is that social media actually made it worse. No matter where you look, someone's always doing better than you. Someone's always richer, someone's smarter, someone's more attractive or more successful than you. You see someone at 23 with a sports car, but you don't see the big monthly repayments behind it. Or you see someone buying a house at 25, but you don't see their parents funding the whole down payment. Another popular one you see nowadays is successful creators that are launching all these businesses doing tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month with barely any viewership and supposedly solving problems. And for all the people claiming that they're making all this money hand over fist, I'd imagine there's a large percentage of them that are leading you guys on. The problem with social media is that you're comparing your day-to-day experiences to someone else's specifically curated highlight reel. The reframe I want you guys to have is that there is no universal timeline. Some people peak at 22, others at 32, some maybe even at 52. There's a reason that most successful founders are actually in their mid-40s and not their early to mid-20s, like social media will have you believe. Your job in your 20s is not to keep up with the Joneses. It's not to accrue as much materialistic and designer clothing as you can, but it's more so to figure out who you are and what pathway that you want to take, what interests you have, what job opportunities you might want to pursue when you're older. It's not about just mindlessly consuming as we've been led to believe in the modern day. So if you're 25 and you're still trying to figure it out, then you're not actually behind, but you're exactly where you need to be. I took the Big Four job for the prestige and the supposed opportunities that it might have. I wanted the admiration from my peers. I wanted that sort of fancy job title. I wanted that illusion of success, if you will. I know it sounds very shallow, but what can you do when you're 20? And for a while, I genuinely thought this sort of status and prestige would take me far or would lead to these wonderful opportunities. I still remember shortly after signing up with the firm and learning about the sort of partnership model and exactly how much partners make. I thought I'll have millions, I'll have the dream life. But then I realized that the status really only mattered to people within the industry. No one outside of consulting gave a fuck what I did. No one outside of consulting understood what I did. Even to this day, when people ask me, what do you do? I can't explain it to them in layman terms that they understand. Once I came to this realization, I started to become more and more miserable and just resentful in general. And the salary definitely didn't help. The salary was abysmal and still is. When I was refinancing my mortgage, I was talking to the lending consultant. And when I told her what my actual salary was, she paused and she asked, "Are you sure? That seems awful low." And I had to break it to her that, yes, that is correct. That is what I'm paid. And I know this based on the amount that hits my bank account each month. So food for thought. You can't pay your bills with status and prestige. So I had the title, I had the impressive career, I had the illusion of success, everything I wanted, right? But I didn't have fulfillment, I didn't have any freedom, and I didn't even have time to pursue interests outside of work. Every day I'd come home and I'd just open up TikTok or Instagram or YouTube and just mindlessly consume until I had to go to bed and then rinse and repeat the next day. I was pretty much living for the weekends, and if I'm not careful, sometimes I fall back into those habits. The truth is, you should chase substance over status. Substance is things such as your skills, your freedom, your fulfillment, and just general autonomy. Status is primarily just fancy titles, the overall perception of prestige of the firm or company that you're at, and just some fancy logos on your resume. Substance is the thing that builds status. Status rarely builds substance. What I mean by this is if you're truly good at something, the status will come. But if you chase status instead of substance, you'll end up with an impressive resume, but an empty and unfulfilled life. Before you take a job, I want you to ask yourself, will this give me skills I can take anywhere? Will this give me freedom or trap me? Will I enjoy the work or just a perception of prestige and a fancy title? If you're only proud of the latter, then you're in the wrong job. Remember when I asked, should I quit my job? Well, here's the answer. I knew Big Four consulting was wrong for me 3 months after I joined, but I'm still here now. The reasons are: 1, the sunk cost fallacy. I've already invested close to 3 years with the firm, and I know how difficult it is to actually get in. Number 2 is that since graduating university, I actually purchased a house. So now I've got significantly more responsibility than what I did as a student. As such, I need something to replace my income if I leave. I can't just pack up and go. Then lastly, there's the fear of judgment. So this is, what will my colleagues think if I just sort of quit my job and go to somewhere that's quote unquote not as prestigious or a no-name firm or something of the sorts. I know it's super shallow, but I'm still overcoming that. And every month that I stay, the more resentful and the more dissatisfied that I actually become. I kept thinking maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll all finally click and I'll just get consulting. I'm here to tell you that after close to 3 years, it still hasn't necessarily gotten better. Your 20s are too short to stay in bad situations. If you have a bad job with minimal responsibilities, then quit. If you're in a bad relationship that's unsalvageable, leave. Or if you live in an area where there's minimal opportunities and you have the means to do so, pack up and go. You don't owe anyone your misery, and the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to leave. There's a quote by Nassim Taleb that says, the 3 most harmful addictions are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary. So if you know the situation that you're in is wrong, quit faster. Ask yourself, if I was starting from scratch, would I choose this again? If your answer is no, then you really need to start planning your exit. Here's what no one tells you about working a corporate job in your 20s. You can be incredibly productive, but still end up owning nothing. Your 20s are a time when you should be building and not just working. When I say building, I mean working is trading your time for money. Building is creating something that can compound over time. In the years I've worked in consulting, I've worked across various different industries on various kinds of projects. What I've come to notice is that after all these years, what do I actually have? I've got a prestigious resume, some money in the bank, but nothing that's really my own. I didn't build a business that I thought I would. I didn't build an audience through a YouTube channel. I didn't even create for the sake of creating. Ultimately, I didn't pursue any of the things that I've been daydreaming about for years by this point. I adhered to society's definition of success, but I've come to realize that my definition of success in society is just not necessarily the same. Now at 26, I'm, I guess, starting from scratch or trying again. I'm starting this YouTube channel, learning video editing, learning storytelling, just learning how to be creative again. I haven't actually done anything like this for years. So this is very much something different to what I expected I'd do. And I wish I'd started this at 20. My point is, you don't need to quit your job and go all in on a startup. You just need to do something, be that a side project, a YouTube channel, or a newsletter. You want something creative, something that you can own the upside to. Because the truth is, the skills you build while creating are things that can't necessarily be taken off you. You can always lose your job. You can be made redundant. You can be outsourced. You can be replaced. But the things that you learn outside of that environment are things that you can take with you and apply to other ventures in your life, be that career, be it creative, be it entrepreneurial, whatever. Not to mention these creative ventures that you might have will make you feel a lot more fulfilled. I know they do for me at least. What I want you to do is I want you to pick one thing over the next 6 months. It doesn't need to make money, and for majority of you, it's not going to, but it's going to give you something to really sort of dial in and focus on. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Some examples could be a YouTube channel. Even if no one watches, just make videos for the creative process, not the income. Allow yourself to have fun. A newsletter could be as simple as exploring things that you're genuinely interested in. Be authentically yourself and write for the sake of writing. You could also look at a freelance service. Think about what people come up to you and ask you for help with. You likely have authority in areas that you don't even realize. The goal isn't to replace your income. The goal is to learn how to build and how to create something. Because once you know how to do these things, you won't find yourself stuck in a shitty job again. You always have options. Everyone tells you to invest money in your 20s, and for the most part, they're right. But here's what they don't tell you. Investing is great for building and preserving wealth once you either have a high income, or B, you're already rich. But if you're trying to build generational wealth through penny pinching on minimal income, you're in for a really bad time. Unless you're a sadistic person that gets off on only eating beans and rice, then I'd advise otherwise. During my gap year, I was working on a mine site doing fly in, fly out, and because of this, I was able to save quite aggressively. This gave me a solid foundation to put me through university, where I didn't have to work as much as maybe some of the other students, and shortly after graduating, I was able to purchase a house. I'm glad I did it overall, and looking back now, I can definitely say that I lucked out with what's happened within the wider economy, especially here within Australia. But what I didn't do is I didn't invest in learning any high value skills. I didn't learn how to do sales. I didn't learn how to do marketing. I didn't learn how to do social media. And today these things are just as relevant, if not more relevant than they've ever been. I was more so focused on saving money and sort of squirreling that away for a rainy day, if you will, investing what little I had. Your 20s are when investing in yourself has the highest return on investment. The reasons for this is you have next to no responsibilities. Likely most of you are still living at home, if not share housing. You also don't have a family that you need to look after, so you're not responsible for anyone else outside of maybe a girlfriend or a partner. Lastly, you've got so much time. You've got time to take all these big risks, and if they fall flat on their face, cool, you can recover. You've got energy. You're still young. You can really just go all in on something and not have it sort of take away too much from your general quality of life. Here's how I wish I'd prioritized money in my 20s. Number one is emergency fund first. Get 3 to 6 months of your expenses saved, because this gives you freedom to quit bad situations without going broke. Number two is to then invest in yourself, be this skills, be it courses, be it books, be it certifications. Whatever you can do to increase your earning potential is worth doing. Number three is to invest your money, be this index funds, be it retirement accounts such as super, 401k, depending on where you are, depends on what you have access to. And especially if your employer matches your contributions, that is free money. Please take advantage of it. Number four is experiences, be this travel, be it concerts or memories of the people you love, things that really matter. What's not on this list? We don't have new iPhones. We don't have designer clothing. We don't have big expensive sport cars. And the reason for this is because in your 20s, you really shouldn't be buying designer clothes. You shouldn't be trying to keep up with the Joneses, especially when you're on a limited income. Don't finance to fucking swing your dick around. It's not worth it, I promise. Just focus on yourself, focus on getting better, and focus in finding your direction in life. You can buy all that shit 10 times over later on, but not right now. The goal at this stage is to maximize your future health, income, and freedom, not just your bank account. The thing is, you can also do everything right for your body and still end up miserable. This is what I learned the hard way. You can lift weights, eat clean, sleep 8 hours a night, but if you ignore your mental health, then none of that really matters. I took care of my body in my early 20s, but completely neglected my mental state. I trained 4 to 5 times a week. I got lean, optimized my sleep, etc. But completely neglected my mental health. I was burnt out at work and I just told myself just to push through. Or you can't be burnt out, you're too new. You've only just started your career, brush it off. I was constantly stressed, anxious, and unfulfilled, and I couldn't figure out why. Or more accurately, I couldn't sit with it long enough. I'd numb this with social media, alcohol, mindless entertainment. I'd do anything to stop my mind from being unoccupied and then focusing on introspection. I didn't go to therapy. I didn't talk to anyone. Not my friends, not my family, not even my wife. I kept going, thinking I was being overdramatic, that I was complaining for the sake of complaining, and eventually it caught up to me. Then one night I just sat down with my wife and pretty much just burst into tears. There was so much bottled up that I couldn't help it. That's when I came to the realization that I should have really addressed this years ago. Mental health compounds just like your physical health. If you ignore it in your 20s, then you'll likely pay for it in your 30s. So you may as well focus on it now. And here's the thing for men. It's widely agreed that it's good to talk, it's good to share your feelings, but for whatever reason, there's still that negative stigma that exists about actually sharing. A man opening up oftentimes can make people feel quite uncomfortable. Traditionally, men were taught to just tough it out, and that's something that I try to do. But I'm here to tell you that it's bullshit and it really doesn't work. Something will crack eventually. Be that your health, your relationship, or even just you see this playing out right now with young guys falling into like the whole black pill movement, adopting that real nihilistic approach to life. And I can tell you, it doesn't lead anywhere good. I understand why some of them do go down that path, and a lot of them do experience really difficult day-to-days, but sort of leaning into that negativity and just fully embodying that, it doesn't help, man. It really doesn't. You need to treat your mind like you treat your body. Just like you go to the gym to get stronger, you need to also practice things such as mindfulness, introspection, etc. You can't expect to practice zero mindfulness, meditation, or introspection and expect to be all good up there. Some practical steps that have really helped me is just having those real and genuine conversations, moving away from those sort of surface level chats with your friends and kind of diving into maybe some of the day-to-day struggles that you're having, maybe some of the things that have like been on your mind for the past few days, if not weeks, months, and God forbid years. These conversations are really important to have, because one of the realizations that you come to is You're not alone, and a lot of people are actually in very similar boats to yourself. Some of them might have already been through it, some of them might be going through it at the moment, and you just aren't aware because a lot of the time us guys, we don't talk about this stuff. You can also journal or meditate or put your thoughts down in some way or another, be it even recording a video like this and just going on a ramble. Like, it doesn't matter. It helps to get this stuff off your chest. So here's the recap of the 3 things that I wish I'd known earlier on in my 20s. 1 is to stop playing someone else's game. Don't follow timelines, choose substance over status, and quit bad situations faster. 2 is to build something that's yours. Invest in yourself first, then invest your money. And number 3 is to take care of your mental health. Treat your mind like you treat your body. This is not optional. If you're in your 20s and you're still trying to figure out what to do, then just know you're not alone. I'm trying to rebuild my life, if you will, and try and really sort of work towards the stuff that actually means something to me. I'm documenting the process here as well because I don't claim to have all the answers, but I just want to save someone that was in a similar situation to me the years or the journey that I had to go on to get to the understanding I am now. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Good night.